Hello there. This is Cece with Going Solo with Cece, and you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. And those of you that don't know me, I am the doyenne of relationship building. And what I really do is I connect you with these awesome people. We take you through probably some of the darkest times in your life to really embracing you, and I just think having you live your best life. And so we take you on that road to recovery, to really finding yourself and knowing where you want your life to be. So we're really excited about that. I am very excited tonight to bring our guest on board. I tell you what, she is just an absolute delight. She herself is a divorce coach. Her name is Deanna Coyle. She has letters behind her name. It's CFA, and then she has an MBA. She's a co-founder of Vesta, and it's Redefining Divorce. And those of you that have gone through divorce, man, you know what that's like. Welcome, Deanna.
Thank you so much, Cece. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. It's great having you. You know, we here at Going Solo certainly have embraced, divorce. We know what it's like. We've been through it. I've been through it. Our listeners are either been through it or going through it or terrified of it, right?
Right.
So, that's kind of how we built our platform, was really on singles moving forward through their lives. And so we kind of started with relationship loss and then moving forward. So how did you get into the field of helping others in and through divorce?
It was my own personal experience of going through divorce. And I think that's really common, that when people are going through something that's so challenging that they've never experienced before, it can lead them on a path to find a better life and really recreate themselves. I love what you said in the beginning about living your best life. I say that all the time. I went through a really challenging, emotionally and financially draining divorce about 10 years ago. My kids were 4 and 6 at the time. I had given up a career working on Wall Street to be a stay-at-home parent. And going through divorce, it was just a really confusing time, and a time where, it's really hard to see what your future will hold, and you have no idea what to do because you've never experienced it before. And we say all the time that when there are obviously tons of people going through divorce, but when you're going through it, especially initially, you can feel like you're all alone and you're the only one. So going through that put me on a path to start with my co-founders, divorce support programs and educational and social events, and building a supportive community, gathering amazing professionals who can help people in every area in a cohesive, comprehensive way, and really having a community for the people. So that is what happened. And our message to people is, when you're going through something like that, the best thing is to reach out for help, to get the education, the guidance that you need, and that it can be an opportunity done the right way to create a life that you love. And you might not see it at the moment, but it's there on the other side. And that is what's so amazing about what we're doing. Not only am I personally affected by divorce, having gone through divorce myself, and having parents that were divorced and grandparents on both sides that were divorced. The professionals in our group, most of them have been personally affected by divorce. They're passionate about helping people get through it. And when people talk with us, they can tell that they are going to make it to the other side. It gives them hope.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know that how difficult it can be, because I myself have experienced it, which is why I'm here today. And everything that we do here on Going Solo,
Right.
Is exactly what that's all about. But so can you give our listeners some tips on being able to start redefining their lives as they're moving forward through a relationship loss?
Sure, absolutely. And the people that come to us, they're in various stages. There can be people who are just considering it, might not even have talked to their spouse yet. They could be in the process, or they could be many years post-divorce. What we provide is an opportunity for education and social engagement. My main, so there's various tips, of course, that I have, having gone through it and then having built this business for 6 years now, that the most important thing is to take some type of action. You know, when you're going through it, it can be, you can want to just stay home and pretend it's not happening. But when you take some action and really educate yourself and talk to people who can help you, it is incredibly empowering. That's really the guidelines of what we say, what we do. We educate, connect, and empower people so that they can make decisions that are well-informed and not emotionally driven. So since you and I know, having gone through divorce ourselves, when you're going through it, you're not thinking right. The emotionally driven decisions you make are generally not going to be the ones that are best fit for you. And a lot of these decisions you make are going to affect you and potentially your children, you know, for the rest of your lives. So having a community is incredibly important.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I think when you connect with other like-minded individuals, it certainly helps create that strength sometimes that you need to be able to move forward. And you don't think you're so all alone. I know for ourselves with the Going Solo Next Step, we're the same, and really connecting with those around us is really a vital part of really moving forward, but also embracing the new life that we have. And so as we're moving forward, we start to kind of redefine our lives, don't we? And sometimes when we're going through the process of evaluating our lives and ourselves, we start to embrace who we are really destined to become.
Right. We? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That is so true. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's surprising for me is we've had, I've had lovely experience with individuals who have really tapped in on some of their passions that they've kind of let, set aside throughout their marriages. And right. And then they go in to embark and embrace those, because I often say, we need to find our joy, right? You need to
Absolutely.
find what makes us happy, what kind of rocks our boat. And so often they go back into the arts, or they do something totally different they haven't done before. And we have like a comedian and an actress and a few artists, and that have really taken it and moved it to a level of total professionalism, and which is something they would have never done had they stayed in this bad marriage that they were in, right. So it's, I think redefining our lives is very, very important. Now, what do you say about, I know that we had talked one time about when we touched on a little bit about just the process itself of divorce, redefining the process a little bit. What is your take on the process of divorce? Now, I know you're in a different state, so I'm in Florida. Where are you at again?
I'm in the Boston area, so we're in Massachusetts, and we're currently expanding our programs to California. Mm-hmm. And our goal, and what we are going to do, is redefine divorce across the country. We're even getting inquiries from Europe. When are you coming here? The process of divorce, it's like it happens to so many people, obviously. Mm-hmm. What we talk about a lot is when you have some type of loss. For example, you have a spouse that passes away. There's a whole support system around you. And when you're going through divorce, even though things are changing, there still has been kind of a stigma about it. And the process and the court systems are not set up to really help the families. And it is imperative that people go through it in the right way. And we hear sometimes that people might Google, and find an attorney that way. I mean, you really need to go to someone who specializes in that. Not only is really good at what they do, but also works in a way where they're looking to have the family, and you're recreating the family, looking to have the family get through it in the best way possible. And that is not by having the two attorneys duke it out in court and try to be right. A lot of money is spent that way, a lot of time. And the most damaging part is the impact on not only the parents and the children, everyone around them, people you work with, the kids' teachers, the kids' doctors, your neighbors, everyone is impacted. And it doesn't have to be that way. Our events educate people. And, if you live somewhere, if you don't live in Massachusetts or California, there are other, programs where they provide education. It's so important to, when you're speaking, for example, if you decide to go with an attorney, to ask them the right questions and to find out, how they go through the process with you, and really do everything you can to avoid litigation, avoid going to court. So once you go to court, the decision is in the hands of the judge. We say all the time that the judge sees so many cases in a year, thousands. And when you're going through your divorce, all you think about is your side, and oh my God, I can't wait to tell the judge my side. You have probably 10 minutes in front of the judge. And it doesn't go the way you think it will. So it's really important to educate yourself and to connect yourself to the right people, to connect yourself to the professionals who have your best interests at heart.
Yeah, that's so true. We had a retired judge on the station, and that's exactly what she said. She said that, it's really, really important to not think you're going to have your day in court, because everyone seems to think, okay, I'm going to get my day in court. I'm going to be able to say, and each state is different. I don't know how it is in your state, but in our state, it doesn't matter if you cheat. It doesn't matter that
it's no fault.
No fault. And that's how it is with us. But I've talked to people over and over and over again where they think, no, that's going to make a big difference when they go to court. Well, it really doesn't. And they spend a lot of money, a lot of heartache going through that. And so that's exactly what she said. And so it is very, very important to, get an attorney that's going to really know how to deal with the situation, not only I feel with regards to the actual court procedure, but also the personality of possibly your ex, and that attorney, because
very important.
Yeah, there are some, and if you want to save money, that's very vital, because you'll get, maybe you'll get an attorney that's a little bit more passive or whatever, hasn't dealt with, a really high conflict divorce or person, then you're in a lot of trouble, and because you're going to be spending a lot of money, a lot of heartache. So it's really being paired to the right person for sure.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that point, when you think about going to court, like so few cases actually go to court. I'm thinking the percentage is maybe 4%. What actually ends up happening, and this is what happened in my situation, is you're in court the day of, and you're scrambling to come to some agreement with the two of you, with your attorneys, and we reached an agreement, and we did it like so quickly. It's hard to really think through those decisions because we didn't actually want to go in and have the judge make the decision. But there's so many better ways, and there's mediation. There's different ways of going through divorce, and there's pros and cons of each way. It can depend on your situation, your relationship with your spouse, whether what assets you have, whether you have children. There's just a lot of factors. So it's really important to educate yourself on the different options and to find which one is truly best for you.
That's very well said. Now, what do you say about the emotional part of, because there's the process of divorce, Okay. And we've talked about that, but there's also that emotional roller coaster ride that we go on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
what do you say about that?
that reminds me of several things. And one is when we have professionals who help people in all different areas. So we have attorneys and financial people and realtors, mortgage people, career coaches, parent coaches, therapists, life coaches, relationship coaches, so many different areas that people could use, in any area of their life when they're going through it or afterwards. And we say you want to have whatever issue you're dealing with the specialist who deals in that. So you don't want to use your attorney as a therapist. First of all, they're a very expensive therapist. Second of all, they are not trained in that. So when you can have then, with a therapist or a support group or a life coach, divorce coach, helping you with the emotional aspects so you can process that, and then you bring the purely legal issues to your divorce attorney, you're going to be happier. Your divorce attorney is going to be happier. You're going to keep down your legal costs, and you're going to make wiser decisions. You did mention your roller coaster, and your emotions can go from one to the next, not only over the course of days, but in one day, you can be in different situations in terms of what you're thinking. But when you can ground yourself or know who to reach out to or what action to take so that you can make the best decision for yourself, and it's not, again, going to be an emotionally driven decision. And when you're making decisions, and if you have children, always think about what is in the best interest of the children. You might have anger against your spouse. When you think, I love my children more than I may dislike my spouse, what's the best interest for all of this? It can help ground you, and just making the decisions at more of a business decision. When you think about divorce as a business decision, your heart's involved, but you think about the decisions that you're going to make. Those are the business type decisions. And how are we going to split the assets? What is going to be child support and or alimony, if any? What is going to be the parenting plan for the children that works out best for the children? Does one of us keep the house or not so that the children can go to the same school system? So many decisions, but to make them in a business-minded way as opposed to coming from your emotions.
That's very true. It's so hard, but it seems like there's always one party that has stepped away from the relationship, and it seems to be a lot easier for them. But the other party that was kind of left behind, the ones that's struggling through the divorce, it's just so difficult. I mean, I cannot say enough how difficult it is. And going through it myself, seeing others go through it, helping others going through it. The thing what I feel the most is that if you can, as you said, get the correct people, that can help you through this, versus the attorney is really the process of the legal system. And he doesn't do all of this other stuff that you definitely need. And I've heard it said before, well, we'll let the court system work it out or whatever. I personally feel, and I think you might be on the same track here, Deanna, is that we need to take charge a little bit of our divorce, take charge of our lives a little bit.
Very good. Yes.
And seek help. And I just think that the more we do and the more we understand, the little bit less frightened we get and the little calming that roller coaster ride becomes, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It could be even just taking a small step, one small step at a time. Don't think about the whole process and how you're going to get through to the whole thing. Just think about your next step. What can you do that's going to educate you, connect you with the right people, and empower you to make the best decisions for the family as a whole?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know that it's very difficult. It's a very trying time for people. But I do feel like there's other avenues to look at divorce and really connecting with the right people they can make those educated decisions. Or do they want to go with a mediation? Do they want to, hammer out an agreement type of thing? Or, what do they want to do to protect themselves? And even if it's a high conflict, having that sounding board of someone else that can try to sort those things out in your mind, so that you don't take it and go off the deep end with it, because so often that's so easy to do, isn't it? To go off the deep end.
Absolutely. And when people are going through it too, that what you said just reminded me a couple of points. And one is, I heard a statistic the other day of how many people do the do-it-yourself divorce and, looking to avoid attorney fees. What the issue with that, like you can do more of the work yourself when you really educate yourself. You should still at least have somebody that's advising you and overlooking the final agreement, because you can come to an agreement with the two of you without any support, and then be back in court over and over again afterwards. And it's just going to cause so much more heartache and money. And also the issue for selling your house, for example, like, I can just sell it myself. Really, when you have an expert who's there helping you, you'll be able to get such a higher price for it that it would be worth the fees that you would pay for them. So not to be just single-minded worrying about money. Obviously, you need to, only do what you can afford, but to also really look at what's our long-term goal, and what do we need, what expertise and people who are really looking out for us do we need helping us through the process.
Deanna, one thing I was thinking about as we're talking here is that what some do not realize, because they're a lot of times they're blindsided, they're going through the process and they're just trying to catch up. Their spouse is already, 20 yards ahead of them, and they're trying to catch up with it.
Right.
But here's the thing, and so many of them don't realize it, is that there's a pre-divorce and there's a divorce, and then there's, post-divorce. So there's also, things that you have to do prior to your divorce, getting your information together, selecting the right attorney, maybe selecting a coach, those kind of things that you're putting an action plan together. Then you're, implementing all of that, throughout the divorce, the playing field may change a bit along the way, and you may have to, rethink of things here and there and redo other things. But then what we also forget about is the post-divorce, is after the divorce.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that, including myself. After I got divorced, it's like, okay, there's transactions that needed to take place, transfers that needed to happen, all of those things that didn't take place because the attorney says, "Oh, I'm done now.
I'm done. These are all in your agreement, so you have to carry this out, and you're on your own to do it." Transferring titles, if you're transferring assets and there's a quadro involved, going through with that. There's so many different things. Very, very true, and that is why we are more and more offering events and professionals who help people after divorce. So after divorce, it would be, last night we had a post-divorce boot camp, and the topics were post-divorce legal issues. Because unfortunately, sometimes there's modifications to be done, or there might be contempt actions, and you have to decide, is it worth, going back to court or not? There's the estate planning is so important. Post-divorce finances, like rebuilding your finances. Where do I want to be when I retire, and what do I need to do to get there? And health and wellness, and really taking care of yourself, and the dating and relationships and personal styling, just to really recreate yourself for your career or dating or whatever you're looking to do. That's all very important. And we have been so lucky to have so many people. We've had probably 2,000 people come through our events over the last 6 years. We have about 80 events a year, and those are increasing as we're expanding. And people are going through the whole divorce, and then they're like, okay, now I'm done. What else do you have for me? So we started offering post-divorce retreats, post-divorce boot camps, a lot of workshops and social events. And that it's very true what you just said, that people are still looking for something. And sometimes your divorce is done, not only the things you need to take care of, but emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's just going to be, life just isn't this uphill, like things get better and better and better. It's up and down and up and down. The main thing is when you go through divorce, and what I've learned for myself is I've learned how strong I was. And now I know, like, I'm still going to have bad days. Yesterday I had a bad day. And I was thinking, wow, why? Like, I'm so far past divorce and I have an amazing life. Why am I having a bad day? I knew I'm just having a bad day, and I know how to get myself out of it. And I know tomorrow's going to be better. And I woke up today energized and tackled things differently. So you realize that you have a strength about you you might never have known you had, and that the sky is really the limit.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I can't say enough about the post-divorce, because I know myself, and I hear so many that have gone through the divorce and they go, okay, now what? Now what do I do?
Right. Like
I spent all my energy, right?
Or
yeah, you've spent all this energy and all your fears are all into this divorce, and you've just put so much into it. And then after the divorce, you're like, okay, now what?
Now what?
Yeah. And so I think the post-divorce is very, very vital. And it's definitely it kind of, once you get through it, and again, it's a system, right? Once you get through some of the things, it really is, being there and done it and on the other side now for myself, it really is a breath of fresh air. And I can look back on the process and say, oh my gosh, it was horrible. Something I would never want to experience again. But it really brought me out, And I've heard it over and over and again with individuals that have taken time to heal, work on themselves, get through the process, continuing even after divorce. They now look and they think, wow, I'm really happy with where I am now. And they when they look back at their marriage, they weren't really that happy, even though they were blindsided by the divorce. They didn't realize.
Right. Yeah. It's scary because it's unknown and it's change. And it's not, nobody ever wants to go through divorce. You just want to magically get to the other side. And unfortunately, that it doesn't happen that way. And you don't get to be the person that you are on the other side of it unless you go through it. But go through it the right way. Go through it with the right.
They just don't really want to surface, I would say. They really don't want to work on themselves. They just want to get through the process, sign over everything they need to sign over, and just move on with it. What would you say to those individuals?
I'd say that there's a happy medium there, because if you're just going through it without really thinking about what you want your life to look like and how are you going to get there, and are these decisions that you're making going to get you there? You also don't want to be fighting and nitpicking about every little thing because you want to be right, you want to win, and dragging that out. There's a happy medium there to really, again, it all comes down to having the right support system, really going to the right professionals for the right thing, who can work together to get you through it and can share, with your permission and with Vesta, the professionals will work together and get the person through their divorce in the best way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes when it's just like anything, if you try to get through something so quickly, you don't really absorb the process of what's happening to you. And so you might very well make decisions that are not appropriate for you, that you don't realize until after you've done it. And so I think that if anyone's going through divorce now, it's just a process that you have to go through, and you have to allow yourself time to do it, and to just think you can speed through it. It's you'll just stop, and at the end of it, you'll think, oh my gosh, it's very difficult to come back. You can't come back once you've made decisions that you've
Right, especially the asset division. Like that
Mhm.
is something that's more permanent.
Mhm.
You can, change of circumstance, revisit alimony, child support, parenting plans. Asset division is different.
Right. And the thing is too, is even though there are elements that you can readdress again, you just have to remember that every time you readdress something, it opens up more wounds. It opens up, you know, just feelings that you have, the process again, the expense
Right,
again. It just,
right.
so you want, if you're going to go through this, you want to try your very best to do it the first time around and not have to go back to it. And you don't want resentment,
Absolutely.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, my ex and I, we it was not, it was an acrimonious divorce. Unfortunately, when we were going through it and we went to court, as I mentioned, afterwards we got to a good place and we're co-parenting well. And then we went back to court and went right back to that place. And luckily, since then, we've agreed, like, that's it. No more court. We're just going to focus on living our best lives and being the best parents we can to our children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that is true. Because it will bring you right back to that place again.
Right.
And yeah.
It's adversarial. It's just
Mhm.
that's how it is when you're with each other in court and you're represented by by attorneys who are all each advocating for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You're in for a fight. And of course that's, everyone's going to have their feathers up and you're going to be going at it. And, it's just not a good thing. And the thing is if you do have family, if you do have children, they're going to feel that, as you're going through it. So,
They
yeah.
absolutely feel that. I love what you just said, because a lot of times, whether it's people are going through divorce or if they're staying together for the sake of the children, for example, till the children go up to college, and they say the children don't know. The children do know. They pick up on a lot more than people realize. They can sense things. They can often hear you talking to someone else, and it does affect the children.
Yeah, they're pretty sharp. I mean,
They're very sharp.
they know exactly what's going on. And let me tell you too, is anyone out there that's getting divorced, if you're not really treating your ex right, if you're, doing things with the money, you're making things very, very difficult where the other party is really hurting, they're not being able to meet their expenses, they're not being able to buy groceries. Those kids are going to know that. And when they get older, they're going to figure it out that it was you that did that. So if anyone's out there that you want to just put the screws in on your ex, let me tell you, if you love your kids and you want your kids to grow up to respect you, you just better think twice, because they will, as they get older, they'll know, okay, mom, you went through hell and I remember it. And they'll know that happened, and vice versa. If the women do it to the guys, because it's also the same way with the visitation and some of those things.
Right?
When the kids grow up, they'll know because they're not stupid, and they'll get it that this happened and what happened, and then the feelings that those children have towards you will change, and that's not something that you want, and that's not something that money can buy back. So it's just not worth it. 2 cents is not worth what your kids go through, for sure.
Very true. And that brings me, there's a lot of pointers that we give. And one of the things is, some of the things that keep foremost in your mind when you're going through divorce is, don't use your kids as messengers. Don't have them deliver messages to the spouse. And I know, coming from being a child of divorce, that the child will often internalize it and think that it was something that they did, especially when you're young. I was 5 when my parents divorced, and I thought it was because I wasn't good enough. If only I was better, then mom wouldn't leave. So to really let the children know that divorce is not your fault, and mom, both parents, mom and dad, or dad and dad, or mom and mom, whatever your family is, both parents will always love you and be here for you.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And I do think that we shape our children. And so as parents, even though we get divorced, we don't divorce the family. And so that's something that we have to continue on. And so you just really put the kids to the center of that and focus on their needs. And that's what's very important. We do have a wonderful Nancy Harris said something great advice. Deanna,
Nancy is amazing. So we started doing these events 6.5 years ago, and we started off doing divorce boot camps. And Nancy came to one of the very first events that we had, and she said that someone told her about our events, and she's like, I don't want to go. She's like, why do I want to go to an event about divorce? How depressing. And she said that her friend kind of brought her kicking and screaming. And she came. And she was just amazed by all the things she learned. And she utilized the services of so many of the professionals. And she is one of my great friends today. Yeah. So, and the people I get to meet, the professionals that work in our network, are so amazing and talented and good people. We look for, they have a screening process. Mm-hmm. There's an application, there's an interview, there's a background check. We want to make sure when we're recommending someone that there's someone we would recommend a relative to. And they're incredible people. And the people like Nancy that I've met who have come through our programs, the people who come to our events, they tend to be in their 40s. I mean, they range younger, but generally 40s to 60s, 70s. 70% women. One of the main qualities that they have are that they are people who are looking for information and looking to get through it in the best way. They're not know-it-alls. They're not someone, like you said, who's just going to power through it and just, doesn't care about the impact on others. So I get to meet so many amazing people. It's just a real blessing.
That's wonderful. Well, too, I think it takes us time to absorb things. And so when we're trying to learn about the process, we're trying to learn about ourselves, we're trying to learn, really embrace where we want to be, in the future. It's just, it takes time in order to do that. And so to allow ourselves to cool down a bit, being able to do that is definitely important. So do you have any functions coming up that you wanted to share with us at all? Any events?
Oh, we have so many events. So right now, the locations where we have our events, so anyone who's in the Massachusetts area, we have events in Providence, Rhode Island, and North Attleboro, Massachusetts, and Needham, Massachusetts, Southborough, Lexington, Winchester, and of course, Boston. We have several events a week. We're actually we had one last night, as I mentioned, a post-divorce boot camp. Tonight, we're having a divorce resource night. All of our events, we have very different events, and people come to multiple events, and they always say that they get something different every time. Mm-hmm. One of our most amazing events are our divorce retreats. And this Saturday, we're hosting our 21st retreat. We started doing them 3.5 years ago. Our retreats are incredibly transformative. People get the education, they get to meet one-on-one with all the professionals, they get the social part of it, meeting others going through it, they get some relaxation. We usually have either a masseuse or a stretch therapist or someone who's there to help them with the relaxation part of it. So those are really amazing. And we're also right now, next Wednesday, we're having our first event out in California. It's going to be in Solano Beach. And we've got 17 events through the end of the year out in California.
Wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, so people could go to our website, vestadivorce.com, and go to events, and they can see the events. And most of our events are free. We charge a small amount for our retreats to help cover costs. The other events are free. People can come and get all the information that they need.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Well, right there's a website, which is www.vestadivorce.com. And then I'll also show your contact information right here. There's your phone number, which is 508-333-3191. So that's the phone number if you want to reach Deanna. Also, her email is team, T-E-A-M, at vestadivorce.com. That's V-E-S-T-A, divorce.com. Okay, so that's great. Any last words you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yes, that if you are considering or going through divorce, or if you're post-divorce and you're still looking, for your best life, just know that when you have the right people supporting you and you're taking some type of action to move your life in a positive direction, that you can make your life better, and that any challenges that you go through, when faced the right way, are opportunities for personal growth and opportunities to find your true self and to have the life that you've always wanted. We have one life to live. Live a great one, and be happy. Do what you need to be happy for you and for your family.
Yeah, very beautifully said. Thank you very much for that. I tell you, you do a great job, and I'm so pleased to have met you, and I'm so glad that you're doing that work, helping people through divorce. I mean, it's, I've been doing it again like you for a long time, and, to find someone that's really willing to step out and really change the face of divorce is very important. It's very enlightening, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, CC. You're really wonderful. I have so loved chatting with you tonight.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, another great show here on Going Solo with Cece. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And of course, we'll have the rebroadcast right up on our website and also on our YouTube station after we make the circuit on some of the other affiliate stations that we have. But I will tell you that Deanna is a elite guest. And so her information will be on a page right there on goingsolomedia.com. All you have to do is just click on it, and all of her information will be there, all of her contact information. So if you didn't catch it on the show, you missed it, it will be right there for you. So you'll be able to get it very readily available. If you have any questions or anything like that, please give me an email. I would love that. You can contact me. Let me know what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, what you would like to have us bring on, what type of guests you would like. We have some wonderful people, as you can well see. And Deanna Coyle is just, wow, she's just out of this world. I'm just so pleased to have her. So our email here is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. And of course, you guys all know you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are the #1 internet singles talk network. And I'm so proud of that. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back here, but we won't be here next week. We'll be here the week after. I am going and been invited to go to a national publicity summit in New York City, and I'm very pleased to do that. We're bringing Going Solo Network there. We're going to be on a panel with some awesome TV producers and some other radio and media outlets, and I'm just excited as all get out that we've been chosen to be able to assist them with that. So I am going to give you all the lowdown. I'm going to do Facebook Live to bring you into that. So I'm very, very excited. But I want to thank you for being with us, supporting us, all the stuff that you all do, because we wouldn't be here without it. So bye for now.